Hello, happy Friday, happy June, and welcome to episode number 565 of Smart Podcast Trashy Books. I'm Sarah Wendell, and my guest this week is Elissa Sussman. She is back. She has a new book, Once More with Feeling, and of course, I wanted to talk all about it. This book is very much inspired by popular culture, and you'll find out which pieces very soon. But we talk a lot about the way stardom, and especially pop stardom, specifically has changed since the early 2000s. I do want to flag that because we're talking about pop stars from that period, there are references to disordered eating, anti-fat bias, and some absolutely astonishing misogyny. I will have links to everything we mentioned that you might want to be checking out in the show notes at smartbitchestrashybooks.com/podcast. I have a compliment this week, which makes me so happy, to Autumn. A recent scientific poll has revealed that you are more charming and entertaining and adorable than a gathering of 18 baby goats wearing matching handmade capes. Science is facts. If you've supported the show with a monthly pledge, thank you so very much. You're keeping me going. You're making sure that every episode has a transcript hand-compiled by Garlic Knitter. Hey, Garlic Knitter. And you help support this program, which means more than I could possibly say right now. If you would like to join the Patreon, the benefits are fantastic. I mean, I think so anyway. There is a Discord filled with some of the most lovely human beings, and there are bonus episodes every 2 weeks. So if you are interested and would like to support this program, have a look at patreon.com/smartbitches. This episode was brought to you in part by Lumi Deodorant. It's warm here. It's real hot. It's going to get real humid real soon. There's nothing more enjoyable than the humidity of a DC summer, except many other things. Thankfully, Lumi Deodorant makes it really easy for me to feel dry and comfortable, and they have new scents, which always makes me so happy. Lumi's best-selling scents like lavender sage, clean tangerine, and fresh alpine are terrific, but they also just launched mint cucumber and soft powder. I love soft powder scents, and I have a heads up, new customers get $5 off Lumi's starter pack with code SARAH30 at lumideodorant.com. You've heard me mention how much I like Lumi, and also my teenager as well really likes it. And we've ordered new products in the new scents to try them out. Some products will try to mask an odor with a fragrance, but Lumi really works. It's powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts, and it can control odor for up to 72 hours. Lumi is uniquely formulated and was developed by an OBGYN. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a Lumi starter pack with code SARAH30 at lumideodorant.com. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you visit lumideodorant.com and use code SARAH30. Are you ready to get started? Let's do this podcast. On with my conversation with Elissa Sussman.
Hi, everyone. This is Elissa Sussman. I am the author of the just released Once More with Feeling, and also Funny You Should Ask, and several YA novels. I'm a writer who lives in Los Angeles with many pets.
And some excellent plants, which I can see behind you.
A lot of plants.
A lot of plants.
A lot of pets, a lot of plants. Yes.
These are a good pair of things to have.
I mean, what else, what more do you need? Yeah. What more do you need?
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay. Second book.
Yay.
What is your favorite elevator pitch for this novel?
For Once More Feeling, I wrote it down because it's a little, it gets like, it came with the perfect elevator pitch. So I was like, I have to remember this, and I haven't memorized it yet. But Once More with Feeling is a friends to lovers to enemies to lovers romance about 2 former pop stars who reunite first time since a career-ending scandal to bring a musical to Broadway.
Yes. So many things to ask you. So many things. Okay.
There's a lot of elements in this book.
I love when I look at a synopsis and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I think I know what might have inspired this part. And I think I know what might have inspired that part. Oh, I hope I'm right. Mm-hmm. And I was right. Mm-hmm. I was very excited about that. So I know Funny You Should Ask, your first book is based partially on celebrity profiles, one particularly infamous celebrity profile in particular. And yes, a lot of the book explores the sort of distance between the PR narrative of celebrity and the private narrative of celebrity. And like we talked about when you were on the show the last time, how journalists sort of straddle both sides. Like they have access to the PR machine, but they're also trying to get the private narrative as well. So please tell me some of the elements of pop culture that are in Once More with Feeling.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of pulling from the, pop machine of, I believe our youth, I believe we're around the same age.
Yeah.
And how intense that was. And I feel like our culture is sort of revisiting how we took all of that in and how we didn't really question things we should have questioned.
Yeah.
We have the all of those great documentaries on Britney Spears, the Jessica Simpson memoir, which is amazing. And then just remembering that stuff from being a teenager. So really pulled a lot from that, and just remembering how we talked about young women. A lot of these pop stars were growing up at the same time they were our age, and how easy it was to villainize them and make them seem like they were in control of their narratives,
which is control of anything.
They were children, they were kids.
Yeah.
Like the older I get, the more I'm just like 18 is like, you're a baby. You're so young.
Oh yeah. I have a 17-year-old and I look at the 2000s and Britney and Christina and Jessica and Mandy Moore. And I look at that and I'm like, those people were my son's age, and I would never send him out into that environment by himself.
Right. Yeah. It's really, it just seems really intense that it still happens, like I was reading, you read Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, which is incredible.
Oh my gosh.
And she's younger than us, but it's, that stuff is still happening. It's definitely still, the protections are not there yet. I think we've learned a lot. I think, I think young people coming into the industry are safer.
I hope.
But I don't know how much more safer. Yeah. I think, they do have a little more control I think social media gives them a little more control to be able to speak to their fans without having to go through the tabloids and the media. But it's really complicated, and the lines of what you owe people continues to blur. And I think that's really, really hard when you're a teenager and you want to please everybody and you want to, just be popular and be loved. And, I think that's a super normal feeling to have when you're that age.
Yeah, especially because essentially these are all theater kids, right? Like, speaking of Once More with Feeling, these are all just theater kids. Like Britney Spears just really liked dancing. She just wanted to dance on stage.
She wanted to dance on stage. She wanted to perform. Yeah. I think she did have musical theater aspirations. I think she, was, and like you listen to early tapes of her singing.
Oh my gosh. On Star Search?
It's like
so different.
It's so different. And, I remember when she was doing some of her records, and I don't know much about music, but I remember having a roommate who was like, you don't understand how difficult it is, like, to do some of the things that she's doing just with her voice.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, we don't give her or Mandy Moore or Christina or Jessica, we don't give them any credit for having a lot of talent, like a lot of talent and charm and charisma.
Oh yeah. And the ability to make it look so effortless.
So effortless. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that inspired this book, there's this great YouTube video where it juxtaposes, it's the Britney Spears performance where she does I Can't Get No Satisfaction, and I think it's Oops, I Did It Again. She did this like mashup.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like for the Grammys or something. And you can watch the rehearsal footage and the show footage. And the way, like, you just really see how hard she's working.
Oh yeah.
And how much work she's putting into it. And also, like, she is having a great time. Mm-hmm. She is like really enjoying it and like enjoying showing her body and enjoying sort of like being on, like, I'm projecting. It looks like she's having a good time. She's in rehearsal, but she is just like giving it everything. And that was just really a big inspiration for this book. Just like, because I wanted to write about someone who, I think sometimes you read a lot of like celebrity books about women being celebrities, and especially like child celebrities. And it's about how they were forced into it, and they didn't, they were really actually very shy, and they we're sort of told by other people that they have this talent. And I really wanted Kathleen to be like, I know I'm good and I want to be on stage and I love singing. I love performing. Because I think that's, there's just because you want that doesn't mean the world should treat you the way that we treat these women. It's like, there's no shame in wanting to perform and be a star and have accolades and applause and all that stuff.
No.
But I think we sometimes have this mentality of like, well, they asked for it because they wanted it. Britney Spears asked for it because she wanted to be a star. So
yeah,
we
but
get to do whatever we want.
Like, you can set terms on how that works. If you're an adult, you do. But if you're a child star, then you get like no boundaries.
Right.
One thing that I think about a lot with especially that particular group of pop stars, because I mean, obviously, Once More with Feeling is based slightly heavily in Britney and Justin, and
just a bit,
right?
Just a bit.
And I had three very different thoughts. One, when I look back at that group of pop stars, it is wild to me that there was this question, like, there can only be one. There can only be one pop princess. But like, we have 10 guys between Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, let alone before you bring in, like, what's the one that Nick Lachey was in?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember.
The ones where they always, like, muscly guys crooning in white shirts is the only thing I remember.
Yeah.
Like, we have like 25 different boy band members and they're all fine. But we can only have one pop princess, and these girls have to duke it out, and then they're paired and put against each other, and it's like, this is really gross.
I mean, it's like the April O'Neil complex, where it's like you have the 4 Ninja Turtles, and then you have one female character.
Yeah, yeah.
You cannot have any more than that.
I mean,
and I think it's also, like, I kind of touch on it a little bit in the book, but it's like the guys, they have each other at the very least.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have close friendships or whatever, but that's a support system. All these women are young, all these girls at the time
completely alone,
totally on their own.
Yeah.
And everything relies on them. There's no backup. There's no, like, the pressure is completely on them to be on and performing constantly.
Yeah.
And
like you said, they're like 18. And then they look around the stage and they go, wow, if I quit all these people who are older than me, who have families, they're out of a job, and that pressure of, we have to support your family, you have to support your parents. Look at all these people who work for you. You have to support them too. It's like, that's a lot to put on a teenager whose brain is not fully formed yet.
Yeah. I mean, that is so much responsibility. And then you add the extra level of, like, it's not even your talent that we care about. It's like how you look.
Yeah.
So it's like, you better look and act the way that we want you to. That is more important than, being able to, like, sing well or dance well. The thing that you wanted to do, the thing that, like, brought you to this career in the first place, that doesn't matter anymore.
No.
It's about how you look. And, like, you think about poor Jessica Simpson, like,
oh my God. People talked about her like she was so fat. And I look and I'm like, she is so tiny. She is such a teeny little person. And now people are mocking her appearance because she's too thin. And I'm like, you really cannot win. Even now in 2023.
No.
You cannot.
No.
It's gross.
There's no winning. It's horrible.
It's super gross.
I mean, at least I think she, writing her memoir, I think, was such a great, it's so readable. It's so beautiful. And fuck Nick Lachey. I mean, like, and all the guys that she, like, John Mayer.
Oh, John Mayer.
Jesus.
Oh, he's like he's my number one problematic fave. Like, I dig some of his music. I will put it on and be like, this is exactly what I needed right now. I wish you were not so disgusting, sir.
Yeah. I wish you were, like, and I think the thing about him, like, not to get into too much celebrity gossip.
That's a problem.
To smear John Mayer's name. But, like, I think the thing that's so funny and that came out with the Jessica Simpson thing is that, like, he seems like such an egotist.
Oh, yeah.
But in such denial of, like, just has this persona of, like, not caring about the way he's perceived. But,
yes,
like, the when you read
humility.
about that stuff, you're like,
And then you have someone like Justin Timberlake, who cannot do a thing without bringing up Britney Spears.
Yeah.
That relationship was literal decades ago. Yet that is what he bases all of his promotional work on. I'm like, my dude, you are literally married with children. Why is this your marketing angle?
Yeah. Can you imagine being his wife and having to hear that all the time?
Ugh. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing where I'm like, okay, you are now part of this industry for so long and you are a full adult. Like I said, you got small humans and I'm assuming you have a nice house, maybe 3. You can have some input and direction into your marketing and into the narrative that is being sent out about you to promote whatever it is you're doing right now. Right. That's a choice. It's a terrible choice, but it's a
absolutely a choice.
Like, what are you doing, my dude? And yet,
I mean, I think he rode that, wave of publicity for so long and didn't look up to see that, and it's not getting received the way it used to be.
No.
I think
Britney cheated on me. Like, my dude, you cheated on her. Like so much. I mean, like so much.
And also, like so much of, a lot of stuff in Once More with Feeling is like about the fact that like the woman in the relationship gets all the pushback.
Yes,
like,
that's what I was going to ask you about.
About the guy that that Britney cheated with, and it's like, is it not? If you like pay attention to the rumors, like you were close to that person too. But like you felt you were keeping his identity secret. Like you didn't feel the need to drag him into it.
Yeah.
And so I was like interested in exploring that dynamic of like, it's always the woman's fault. It's always the woman's fault.
It's always going to be her that's dragged with some kind of sexual consequence. You were too slutty. You were too pretty. You were too thin. You were too fat. You were too much. And then you have the element where these are theater kids. And part of being a theater kid is having a bit of a cringy, try hard element to your personality because you're a theater kid. It's baked in there. You can't say Pop-Tarts. You can't separate the filling. There is an element of trying. And we are so unforgiving to women who try. Men, trying is fine. You can try as hard as you want. And I'm like, oh, he's so earnest. He's so in touch with his emotions. Look at him articulating what he wants. Any woman who tries, like, look at all of the hate Anne Hathaway got because she was trying.
She was saying, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, how dare you? How dare you want an Academy Award? You think, like, what actor doesn't? I mean, come on. Like, even Joaquin Phoenix, who said, oh, awards don't matter or whatever, like, he showed up to get his award. So,
I am relatively certain he had a tux fitting or 2 to prepare for the Academy Award.
I'm sure.
He didn't roll in there in a pair of sweats and be like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, there's no way to do it right if you're a woman.
No.
And like as a former theater kid myself, it's like I think it's so, that's why I love theater kids. It's like, I love the earnestness of like, I want to do something that allows me to burst into song for really no reason.
Yeah.
And do it well. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh my God, it's so great. It's so amazing.
And that theater energy is contagious too. Like one of my sons was in the pit orchestra for the spring musical this year, and my other son was on tech. So neither of them were on stage performing, but they were so into it. And they were all behind the scenes moving props around and playing. Like, it's amazing that we have enough talented musicians in this high school that they have a live orchestra for the musicals. It's not recorded.
That's amazing.
It's incredible. And the stage has an actual pit. Like under the stage, there's an orchestra pit.
I mean, in fact, you have a tech crew even.
Yeah. I mean, I will say the pit does smell like pot 100% year round. No question. Oh. It but it is a high school pit. So there you go.
Yeah.
But like even that energy is the energy of being around somebody creating something fun is a wonderful, contagious, buoyant energy. And yet we punish women for displaying that. But a guy who tries and tries and tries, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, of course. It's almost like he's doing us the favor, and it's like, okay, no. Yeah.
So, in this book, in Once More with Feeling, you have what I call a douche triangle. So you have a sort of love triangle, but one of the characters is an absolute douche and they're not going to be chosen. But it's like, how are they going to screw up the other two? So you have a douche triangle.
A douche triangle. Yeah, that's true.
And it's funny. I once had someone say, you shouldn't use the word douche to be negative because it's associated with women's genitalia. And my thought is always, douching is completely unnatural and unforced on us by the patriarchy, and it's actually bad for us. So yeah, let's call things douchey because we don't want douches in literal or figurative form. So you have a douche triangle.
It's actually perfect.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. You have a douche triangle with your characters. Can you talk a little bit about the dynamic between the three of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a fun dynamic. So it's our heroine Kathleen, who's known as Katie Rose as a teen.
Such a good pop star name, by the way. Such a good pop star name. Names are hard, so mad props.
Names are really. I mean, coming up with Cal's name took me so long. I really wanted to have I don't know why, and I don't know if people are 100% on board with it, but I love it. And I wanted him to have a three name, so it's Calvin Tyler Kirby.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's definitely a boy pop star thing.
Oh, then 3 names. Yeah,
3 names.
3 names.
And I wanted him to just hate being referred to by all 3 names, which he does. So Cal is Kathleen's childhood friend. They went to theater camp together and haven't seen each other for years. And then Ryan Leneve is the boyfriend that she has when we meet her as a teenager that she met on a TV show that they were both on together.
Yeah.
And he was the star and she was backup. And now he is a member of a boy band, Crush Zone, with Cal.
Another good name, by the way.
My friend Diane came up with that one. And
well done, Diane. Crush Zone.
I know, she did Crush Zone is amazing.
I can't believe that wasn't already used by an actual boy band.
I hope someone does.
Right?
Does in the future. I hope we can see a Crush Zone because that would be amazing. And so it's this, she's already in this relationship when she sees Cal again.
Yeah.
And it's it's on a little rocky, it's a rocky setting when we see them. Because Ryan is your typical teen boy, the worst version of it, he's your worst version of it.
And his girlfriend was backup and always has to play backup to him. She cannot be the star in her own right because that is threatening to everything he understands about the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And he's just, he's someone who comes off as very confident, but is incredibly insecure. And is also sort of struggling with being one of 5 guys in a band while his girlfriend is the headliner, is the star.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I think that's pretty, I feel like most teen girls have met that guy, have been charmed by that guy, have wanted to date that guy, have thought that's good enough. And then you have someone who's there are men out there that actually support your success and think you're great and, are not threatened by your talent.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of it's a little bit of a revelation for her. I think you get used to, and she's just being, used to being told all of these things that Ryan is kind of echoing.
Mm-hmm.
He comments on her weight, but everyone is commenting on her weight. So
that's a normal,
weird or unusual.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's this thing you don't know how messed up it is until someone else sort of shows you how messed up it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's this kind of tricky love triangle that they're in because also they are all in the public eye. And now everybody knows that Ryan and Katie are together. And so you can't just have a simple breakup.
No. Everybody has to pick sides.
Everyone has to pick sides. It's part of your dynamic. And I think she knows, I can't just jump to another guy in the band. That's not going to look good.
No.
And so it's very with the public eye stuff coming in, it gets very, very sticky for her. And she loves what she does. It's exhausting and it's hard on her, but she loves performing and she doesn't want to lose that.
Yeah.
So in certain ways, she is still putting her career first by staying with Ryan.
Yeah.
And so, and I kind of, I like that about her.
She's got that pragmatism, right?
She's very pragmatic and she's very, she, in a certain way, she does think about herself first.
Yeah.
In a way that is a little damaging to her at that age, but no one else is thinking about her in that way. So she's being a little protective.
And she keeps getting these conflicting messages from everyone around her. You are so important.
Mm-hmm.
You are talented. You are the headliner. You are it. You are not thin enough. You are not working hard enough. You're not quite enough. And so there's this constant cycle of being the headliner and then being constantly told, but you're still not good enough.
Right. Yeah. You're not good enough. And like, you know, even the thing that got you here in the first place, like your voice and your dancing, but like we're gonna auto tune your voice. You're gonna lip sync live shows and stuff like that. And it's like they're slowly taking away the things that she really loved about this job.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I think the further and further away it gets from that, the harder it is to maintain like excitement about it. So yeah, but she was a super fun character to write because I love writing really confident, bordering on arrogant women. Like, I just think
they're fascinating.
We don't see enough of them, and I love them, and I don't want to punish them. I want them to have their happy endings, you know, and I want, like, I kind of, the way I think about my stories and writing is like, it's a little bit of the Star Trek Next Generation mindset, which is just so nerdy. But I feel like a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, it's like they show us how terrible the future is going to be. We are all fucked. We're like, this is just awful. And you look at Star Trek Generation and it's like, but what if we weren't cash? What if we all figured out a way to get along, had healthy, strong relationships and loved each other and went and traveled the universe looking for new life? Like, that's kind of like, so that's the way I approach writing romance, where I'm like, it is that element of wish fulfillment, but it's like, I feel like we are capable of getting to a point where, you know, with both of my books, it's like that men are going to therapy on their own, that, you know, they're dealing with their shit by themselves, that women are confident and able to have a career, have a like dedicated, devoted partner who doesn't feel threatened by them. You know, it's like all of these things are possible.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. Like, let's aim for that future, basically.
And at the foundation of your characters, the women, like, they know what they're good at. Like, this is my thing. Yes. And I'm really good at this thing. And I don't need to pretend like I'm not. I know that I am. Let's move on from this whole, like, I have to be fake humble and, oh, really? You really like me thing? Like, no, I'm really good at this. Please get out of my way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like that was so much fun to write for Kathleen, because I think we see that in male characters all the time, but you know, and like, I really just wanted this character where, like, the thing, we're not really questioning her skill set. You know, we're sort of questioning, like, is she up for the challenge at this point in her life because of what's happened? But I don't think there's a moment where you're like, she can't pull it off.
No, not at all.
Like, as far as talent wise, like, you're like, you might get in your own way and mess things up, but like, you have the talent to be on Broadway. You have the talent to make it.
Yes.
And she knows it. And she also works really hard to get there. You know, it's not like she's just like, I'm talented. She's like, I'm talented, but I also know that I have to practice and work and dedicate myself to this. And this is my priority. This is what's important to me.
Yeah. It's like the fact that Celine Dion, even at the height of her career, still had voice lessons and still had a vocal coach and still did exercises and still did lessons to sing better, even though she was, at the time, arguably the biggest singer in the world.
Yeah. And she's Celine Dion.
Yeah, exactly. She's Celine Dion.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me, I think, that one of the things that happens in the book, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers, it's kind of in the cover copy, Kathleen, ends up on Broadway.
I can't speak to being a child actor on Broadway. I think that's much more complicated and more difficult. But I think the amount of work and effort it takes to do 8 shows a week.
Oh my God.
Is like, you know, it's like, you are sacrificing a lot. You better love what you're doing. You're in front of a live audience every single night. It's a very immediate kind of like response to what you're doing, you know, and it's also Broadway is a much smaller community. It's a community that is not as financially successful as pop and, like, you know, mainstream music. So I think the community is more protective of itself, and they want people to succeed. You want shows to succeed. Everyone knows each other. So it is, you know, that community, I think, is helpful. I mean, it's also interesting because I think both like pop stars, for female pop stars in general, and brought like, it's a very similar audience. You know, it's a lot of young women who are watching these things. And it's like, the thing I think you get from it is like all of this emotion, and it's so raw and pure, and it's so exciting, and you're surrounded by other people like you. And as a society, we really don't value that as a barometer of any kind of success, which of course is totally ridiculous. I think with female pop stars, it's like they're always looking for a reason to be like, it's a fluke.
Yeah. This is a very fragile fame, and it can be taken away from you very quickly.
Exactly. Whereas like with men, it's like, no, we are going to give them a chance no matter what. Like, you can't tell us that they're done.
No,
we're going to keep giving them a chance. Whereas like with women and, you know, artists with largely female audiences, it's like, are you sure? Are you really sure that that's what you like? I feel like the society feels more comfortable with young female fans of boy bands than they are of like young female fans of female singers.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they create this sort of like over-sexualized young woman.
Yeah.
And then they're like, she's a terrible role model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you literally created her. Like,
right?
You created her. You're the one like zooming in on her boobs and her ass, like on national television.
There's like a whole team involved. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
So when you were researching this book, what were some of the things that you read or watched? Like, what elements play into this? Because obviously there's Brittany and Justin, but what other research did you happily do? And what are some things that surprised you? I'm so sorry that you had to watch all this fun pop culture and read all these magazines. It just sucks.
It's terrible. I mean, you know, the Britney documentaries, like I mentioned before, and the Jessica Simpson memoir and Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, those were all super, super helpful in just sort of seeing behind the scenes of the pop star world, because I just don't really know that much about it. I come from a theater background. So I used to work in theater, and I did theater in college. I did theater outside, like when I graduated. So the behind the scenes stuff is from experience.
Yeah.
And I just like, that's like my favorite part of the theater world is the behind the scenes, the backstage stuff. It's just so much fun.
It's
and
so
the community
fun.
and the like collaboration, so thrilling.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to sort of just remember what it was like to have those moments and to be a part of a theater production, because it's so much fun.
It's so ephemeral. Like, it only exists in the moment that it's happening. You can't recreate it. Even if you watch a tape of it, it's not the same as being in it or being there to watch it. But theater and music and things that are performed really only exist when they are happening. And it's a very unique energy.
You feel so in the moment when it's happening, and the talent that's just right in front of you, that's sharing the same space as you.
Yeah.
And the energy of the audience and the crowd, it's great. It's like, there's really nothing like it.
Do you have favorite musicals? Like, if there was a production, you'd be like, I don't care how much it is, I'm getting tickets.
Into the Woods, always.
Oh.
I always will try to go see Into the Woods.
Oh, good one.
That is like, it's one of my favorite. I mean, it's also one of the first shows I remember watching, because I watched the PBS version of it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the first shows I saw live. And it's just been a very...
And it's magic.
You know,
it's magical.
It's magic. And it perfect, you know, because it's like funny, but also dark. And, you know, and I love fairy tales. So it's just all of it is connected.
So what books are you reading that you would like to tell people about?
Okay. So you guys, there are so many great books coming out in June in particular.
Oh, June's bonkers.
June is bonkers. So I'm going to try to guide you. But I mean, pretty much any romance you pick up in June is going to be amazing. There's so many great books out there. But I really, really love, these are 3 books I blurbed.
Okay.
I am so excited for people to read. Ava Wilder has another book coming out called Will They or Won't They, which is also a like celebrity romance. And it's like two people who are on a show together who like haven't spoken in a really long time, and there was like definitely sexual tension, and it's delicious. It's so angry and sexy and good, and she like it's if you loved her first book, you are going to go bonkers over this one. It's so good. And then sort of on the sweeter side of things, Matthew Norman wrote a book called Charm City Rocks, which is kind of like What is the John Cusack movie?
Say Anything?
High Fidelity.
High Fidelity.
It's High Fidelity, like, meets, I don't know, like, where the woman is a former rock star, and he like works for a record store, and he's like he's like a childhood fan of hers. It is very sweet, really funny. It's written in a really interesting way. Highly recommend. It feels very new and very fresh. And then this is a book I think everyone should be reading, which is Rachel Lynn Solomon's Business or Pleasure.
Oh,
it is so good.
Really?
It is like the sexiest book about consent and communication it's just so hot and fun and well written. And like, Rachel Lynn Solomon is an amazing writer to begin with.
Right.
But like, this is just like, when you see people leveling up, like, you're just like, holy shit, like you're doing something really special with this book. So
I love
go get those books, guys. They're so good. Everyone's gonna be talking about them.
Thank you. My gosh. So where can people find you if you wish to be found?
I wish to be found. Well,
Yes.
I am on Instagram, and that's pretty much it.
I can't imagine why you're not anywhere else.
I mean, it's a bit of a shock. It's a bit of a shock, but that's the way it is.
Fabulous.
That's my life right now. So it's just Elissa Sussman at Instagram. I'm endeavoring to put more pictures of my pets online, because right now it's just promo, but I promise I will put some pictures of cute dogs and a very, very cute cat.
And that brings us to the end of the episode. I cannot tell you how much I love talking about pop culture and how we look back on things and rethink how we talked about people 20 plus years ago. Thank you so much to Elissa Sussman. I will have links to her books and all of the other books we discussed in the show notes at smartbitchestrashybooks.com/podcast, but I bet you knew that. I am curious. Do you have a favorite musical? Do you have a favorite pop star? I would love to hear both. I am not as much of a musical person, but I would love to know what pop star posters might have been on your wall when you had your own room and decorated it with posters from magazines. You can find me at smartbitchestrashybooks.com. You can comment on the podcast entry. You can talk to me on Twitter at smartbitches, at Instagram at smartbitches, and on Facebook at Trashy Books, because they wouldn't let me use the word bitches. Can you believe that? But I would love to know the answer to these questions. What's your favorite musical? What's your favorite pop star? Was your favorite pop star in your favorite musical? That would be pretty cool. I always end each episode with a terrible joke, and this week's joke comes from the podcast Patreon Discord from Divine Kitty Cat. Thank you so much for this joke. Why was the donut at the dentist? Why was the donut at the dentist? To get a filling. All right, so now I got another question though. What's your favorite donut? I absolutely love the donut at Dunkin' Donuts that is a powdered sugar donut filled with what is essentially icing. It's either vanilla cream or chocolate cream. I prefer the vanilla cream. I'm basically eating icing encased in a donut. So I'm curious, what's your favorite? And, commiserate with me. Is the icing-filled donut the best? Yes, it is. On behalf of everyone here, we wish you the very best of reading. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you back here next week. Smart Podcast Trashy Books is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You can find more outstanding podcasts to subscribe to at frolic.media/podcasts. Now I want donuts.